Hello everyone, Blue Star Saber here doing another Willow episode review. Now this time I am not in my house and I'm in a different house. I'm going to try to not be quiet to not disturb the other residents. But yeah, anyway, Willow episode 3, in which episode titled Chapter 3, The Battle of the Slaughtered Lamb, which is the follow-up to the last episode in which Elora has been kidnapped by, I believe his name is, Balatine? Yeah, Balatine, who has been corrupted by, one of the, the Lich, the one member of the Gales and all that stuff. So yeah, sorry for the long summary and all that stuff. So yeah, we're following up from that episode in which, after Elora's companions have, at the beginning of the episode, we get an explanation from Fraxus Borman about that sort of magic armor, about how his feeble brother got this magic armor to help fight his brother who wanted the throne from him and all that stuff once he was appointed heir and all that stuff. And as he was getting the story, he gets interrupted by Princess Kit, who doesn't quite care about this story or all the stupid magic armor. She just wants to know more about her father and all that stuff. But the group eventually realizes that that Elora has been captured and all that stuff, and eventually, which causes them to eventually cross paths with them and fights. Of course, Now, granted, the princess does end up learning that Elora can use magic when she finds, like the branch sapling from before. They skirmish with, Balatine and his men when Jade notices that something has gone off with him and all that stuff. And I think Willow informs Jade what has happened to her adoptive father and all that stuff. And eventually, granted, they managed to escape with Elora, after Willow doing the smoke thing. And Jade learns that, from both Willow and, I believe it's Prince, let me get it up. Let's do Graydon. I really got to remember these names, but there's probably a bit of an argument between Willow and him that once infected, there is no helping him and all that stuff. So Jade may be forced to kill her adopted father and all that stuff. But yeah. Of course, Elora manages to escape, I think using one of the knives and all that stuff, and ends up meeting these two woodcutters called Herbert and Irene, who seem very relaxed and all that stuff and just enjoy chopping wood. They might have been married, but or at least they were married to some husbands, but they lost their lives or they divorced them. I can't recall. But after Elora ends up explaining their story, they pledge their service to her. But unfortunately for them, Balatine and the Corrupted Knights come to get them, and one of them manages to fight her off for quite a bit, fair decent, even seemingly killing him. But the wound shown to have no effect. And she kills that one, and the other one escapes with Elora, though eventually it looks like she abandons Elora, only to be killed herself, and then she is once again captured by the knights. The Corrupted Knights and all that stuff, where, meanwhile, I think Willow informs them about how those knights are planning to banish her into the mortal well and trap her soul in some sort of cave thing, because if they just kill her by normal means, her soul can be reborn and all that stuff, and someone else will become the empress. But having her soul stuck prevents that from happening again. I guess showing a sort of reincarnation cycle in the world of Willow, if you will. But yeah. Eventually, the group has granted, I think after going into like two different crossways and a bit of an argument between Borman and Willow's fellow Nguyen and friend Celis, who was with him at the beginning of the Willow film, argue about which path to take and all that stuff. Eventually, they agree to split up and one to go find try and find Laura, while Kit and Borman split off to go to like the Slaughtered Lamb, apparently a place where he went with Princess Ritty, where Kit's father, and all that stuff, and clues to find the magic item, though of course, and apparently to retrieve apparently the looks a kind from the tomb. All that stuff, the sort of matter, or at least the key to it. Granted, Kit seems to think that Borman is faking it, but of course he eventually goes down this sort of dried up well, finds clearly at least seems to be the power source from what we saw in the Armor's flashback thing. They're hiding her and keeping it a secret from Kit and just lying to her, even saying, I don't believe in Laura's magic and all that stuff. Just saying anything just to get on Kit's good side, really, but clearly lying. But meanwhile, Kit is dealing with these were-rats, which I think might have actually been in the first film, and which might have been a bit of an obstacle for Willow. I know, it's been a while since I've seen that film, and I've only seen it one time, really, so I'm not a die-hard Willow fan, so there's that. But she kills it, but more show up, and then they end up running and chasing and all that stuff. Meanwhile, Laura, is talking to the captured man and all that stuff. And they're talking about grandeur, glory, the world will be purified and all that stuff, clearly showing signs of infection. And Laura trying to get them to doubt it, but of course they're clearly far too gone. Willow and the others were joining and all that stuff. I think having a few conversations, particularly I think between Jade, Willow, and Prince Braden about magic and all that stuff, and definitely a bit about whether or not if they can actually help her father and all that stuff. Granted, there was one conversation where the Prince and Jade, where the Prince Graydon seems to doubt Willow's magic, or at least doesn't think he has it in him anymore. And of course, I think their wagon gets stuck. But of course, eventually, then Willow gets a vision of where Laura and the Corrupt Knights are going, and it's the Slaughtered Lamb and all that stuff. So they arrive there where Laura and the Captured Knights are, and a battle takes place, which hence the title of the Battle of the Slaughtered Lamb. Though it's probably more really of a skirmish, if we're being honest, to be fair, because, well, there's so few people. The fight goes, both sides evenly matched, really, and Princess Kit and Breverman join the fray as well. Everyone puts up a good fight, but eventually Willow's friend Salas gets thrown off, gets seriously damaged and all that stuff. And Graydon gets infected by one of the knights. Which causes Willow in his grief to release the power of his magic to obliterate Ballatine's companions and all that stuff, and also severely weaken Ballatine, that he has managed to regain his old self, and pleads Jade to give him the mercy of death and all that stuff, and she's reluctant, but eventually does it and all that stuff. And then Willow goes to confront his friend for his last moments, as he tries to get him to bear, but he knows he's not going to make it, so he gives him the carving wood dog thing that he's made for his daughter, which I think was done about in the previous episode, and tells him to give that to her and all that stuff, and dies as Willow grieves for his fallen friend. And this sort of ends the episode. Okay, let's see. I'm going to start with the things I didn't necessarily like or thought was well done. Okay, this is more a minor nitpick. Well, on one hand, it is kind of funny how you have Borman just going into this lore and story about this prince who had this magic armor preparing to fight, but Kit's a modern day sort of talking like, blah, blah, blah. I don't really care about the story. Kind of, let's see, be like, how should I say? I don't know. Let's see. On one hand, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, I feel like the dialogue just feels a bit too modern, which and all that stuff. But yeah, perhaps maybe too self-aware. I mean, I get that's what they're trying to do with the show, make it a bit of a self-aware sort of fantasy show. But I'm not sure if this was the best way. That the dialogue they used was the best way to describe it. But who knows? But still, I like the intent. I get the intent. I'm just not sure it was executed well. And the other bit I found I'm not really fond of was those two woodcutters, Herbert and Anne. I feel like their getup was too modern, or at least too not really. Didn't feel like it fit in the fantasy. I mean, they felt like just your lumberjack, woodcutters and all that stuff. Like you probably would maybe see any at the very least the 20th century or something. I'm not sure. I'm not really paying too much attention, but it feels like it didn't really feel like it belonged in a sort of fantasy setting, if you will. At least the costumes they had. I mean, I think they were okay and all that stuff. I wouldn't say they were great, but yeah, because characters themselves, I mean, I did find it a bit funny how they just seem to be all relaxed and all that stuff, telling Laura to calm down and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I do like how the show is at least giving us casualties and all that stuff. Though, granted, I wonder if these deaths might have been pointless or it just doesn't give enough time for Laura to grieve the deaths of like two people that are willing to lay down their lives and follow them, only to die straight away and all that stuff. And one of them even arguably abandoning her, even though she pleads for not wanting to be spared, but doesn't. But that doesn't happen. And granted, she talks a bit later about how she doesn't want anyone more to die with her when she's talking to Graydon Prince Graydon amidst the battlefield. But yeah. But I do like how she starts to realize she has a bit more magic power, and I think she even burned one of the minions for a bit, but yeah, infected knights for a bit, but yeah, clearly she's still got a lot to learn. Anyway, speaking of Princess Kit, I do like how, let's see, she seems to be reluctantly believing that, damn it, she might be Dove might actually be a law and does have magic and all that stuff, even though she really doesn't really want to admit it or care. And seems to be quite doubtful. It seems to be having a very doubtful let's see, of Borman's stories and all that stuff about, let's see, what happens to her own father. But of course, this guy's the best lead on her father for a long time. Shows he's following it. But it is interesting that one thing I've got to mention, that during a conversation that between her and Jade, let's see, they have a bit of a build up to their like conflicting dynamics and a growing relationship, you will. They seem to be hitting a bit of a rock point, which revealed to Jade that she actually may have just thrown all the fights that she had with Princess Kit, and she's like not happy about it, as it probably makes her doubt her own abilities. Though at the same time, she probably needed to know this. But let's see. But whether or not this will reflect on her and see if her improve as a person, I'm not just sure yet. But I'm assuming that's eventually what they're going to maybe make her a bit more humble, less cynical, I guess, if you will. But we're just not at that phase yet. But I do like how Borman is cleverly got his own, seems to be having his own secret agendas, grabbing the armor, let's see, the Lux Arcana for himself, really hiding it from pocket, lying to Kit that it was down there and all that stuff. And even having Kit here, what she wants to wants to hear about Allure and all that stuff. So yeah, clearly. Now whether or not he's going to betray the group in the end, I don't know. Or he gets discovered with the magic armor eventually, I'm not sure. But yeah, speaking of the magic armor, I do find it interesting about this sort of invincible or near invincible magic armor that can help them fight against armies and all that stuff. Granted, Willow being only one film before this and 3 books that were made from storyboards by George Lucas and then written by Chris Claremont. Let's see, though, granted, those 3 books, the Shadow Trilogy is not going to be canon and all that stuff. Means that, let's see, Willow's only just got like its own movie thing, so it needs to add its own lore and other magical item stuff, and they've gone with a sort of invincible magic armor, or at least somewhat of a super strong protectionist magic armor, if you will. But yeah, there's that. But yeah, I do like how I do find success with Prince great, and it's interesting how we see he's quite good at, quite knowledgeable of magic, and even clashing with Willow and even doubting Willow, which makes me wonder if that means he's going to go more down the magic route and maybe be a potential another sorcerer like Willow and maybe even Allure and all that stuff, because he seems to be at least knowledgeable of that. But at the moment he's infected, and it's going to probably cause a bit of struggle in his character for a few episodes where he tries to ward off the infection and not be possessed. Maybe it might even, if he somehow is able to break free of it, maybe Allure helps him. And maybe knows, maybe it might untap him, learning some magic and all that stuff. So I'd like where that's interesting to go. Jade. The stuff with Jade, I think it was interesting how when she sees her father being corrupted and all that stuff, let's see, she does fight him, but at the same time wants to try and save him. But when she learns that there's no way of saving him once being infected and all that stuff, and that really sort of runs up the tension with Prince Graydon, if you will. Let's see for future episodes. But yeah, she seems to have a bit of a struggle with it. And when he's like temporarily broken free from the infection, asks her to kill him, and you can clearly see this is reluctant for her to do so, but eventually relents just to give the mercy to the adopted father and no longer being corrupted by evil and all that stuff. And I think it's like a bit of a good moment for a character. I do wish that we got to see a bit more of like her with her father a bit more, but let's see. But then again, we only had really like 1 episode, the start and all that stuff, a few scenes, but I think it works enough. But this one's probably the more gut-wrenching one, I think, for that's one of my alarms. Gut-wrenching is more for Willow and his friend Silas and all that stuff, who I will admit I think was quite good in this episode with his like conflicts with like the sort of let's see, Mad Martigan apprentice, Firaxis Borman and all that stuff, arguing which way to go and all that stuff, and like trying to use his knives and stuff. And he's shown to be quite good of a fighter with how he was stabbing with the knives and all that stuff. Unfortunately, due to his size, he stood no chance against regular sized humans that threw him and died. And you have like this really touching moment with Willow and all that stuff, and you can see just how it just breaks Willow that this friend of his is gone, who has probably been his sort of like moral support on this journey as he's doubted himself and all that stuff. I think he even had talked with Willow during the course of this about about when he should use his magic or not. Let's see, which I'll probably get to a bit later and all that stuff, and asks him to make sure he delivers like this gift for his daughter, which he'd been working on, I think, in the previous episode, like I said, carvings of the wooden dog thing in return, which will probably be a sad thing to do once Willow finally reunites with like the rest of like his people and that stuff, and has to inform them the death of their fellow New Orleans and all that stuff. So yeah, I'd definitely say that was probably the highlight, besides Willow probably, let's see, learning that Willow might only have like a limited amount of magic, or it's like you can only use certain bits of magic at the right time instead of just using everywhere. People wondering, why can't you just use your magic? But But eventually, when his friend severely is wounded and killed and all that stuff, he releases magic out in full force, is able to annihilate the most of the infected soldiers, except of course the main one who had to be killed by Jade. So yeah, so I wonder if that would lead to more people trusting his abilities a bit more. But yeah. Other than that, it's interesting how it seems the bad guys intend to have Laura's soul sealed rather than have her completely destroyed, just so that it won't reincarnate and all that stuff. So yeah, more tension there. But at the very least, it means that this will allow Laura not to be killed straight away, at the very least, and you probably have other bad guys trying to capture her alive at the very least for the time being. But yeah, but it'll be interesting now that the affected knights are dead. Let's see, we have to see who the Gale's going to send next. So one of them going to go there personally, or will they have some other creatures and other minions to do their dirty work? But I guess we'll have to wait and see, as there are still at least 5 more episodes for this at least season, or whether or not this is only a miniseries. But I think this is probably going to be more of a. But given the fact there's 8 episodes like The Mandalorian, I'm assuming that they're going to try and make it a more seasonal thing for like their Disney Plus shows. But yeah, I'll have to wait and see. Overall, I think I'll give this one a solid 7 to 8 out of 10. Let's see, maybe 8.5. Pretty good episode. Stakes have been raised with like the death of quite a few characters and all that stuff, particularly one of them from the films who was like Willow's friend. Some good character moments with like Jade having to give the mercy to her own father. Let's see, a Borman doing his own scheming with like this magic armor. Witnessing more sacrifices and infection to like the prince, and of course a skirmish that is regarded as a battle, really. But who knows? But yeah, probably the first of many minor conflicts before like the big battles take away and all that stuff. Though I will admit, some of the dialogue still needs a bit of work on, and those woodcutters really did feel too modern, and did not really feel like those outfits worked in the fantasy thing. Granted, perhaps I need to look a bit more of like what would woodcutters actually look like in the old medieval days and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm not one to talk. It's been a while since I've done history, but yeah. Overall, I enjoyed the episode. I'm Blue Star Saber signing off, and for those who have listened to my review, I hope you enjoyed it. Let's see. Thank you for joining me, and goodbye.